And right now, the war in the Middle East is taking its toll on energy markets across the world as Iran trades fire with its neighbors targeting crucial oil and natural gas sites. Iran striking a Saudi refinery along the Red Sea, along with two refineries in Kuwait and natural gas facilities in Qatar. Those strikes in retaliation for an Israeli attack on a crucial gas field in the Persian Gulf known as South Pars. Iran heavily relies on natural gas for its own power supply and gets the vast majority of it from the South Pars field. Here at home, President Trump saying Israel will not attack South Pars again, but the U.S. will, quote, massively blow up the entirety of the field if Iran continues its attacks on facilities in Qatar. All these attacks sending shockwaves through oil and gas markets, spiking crude oil prices to $118 per barrel, up nearly 50% since the first day of strikes nearly 3 weeks ago. NewsNation's Joe Khalil is live in Dubai following all of these developments for us. Joe, good afternoon. $118 per barrel. That's a lot.
You know, that price was going up since the beginning of the conflict, but what we saw overnight, Nick, was really a game changer and an escalation in this war, the likes of which we really haven't seen. And that is because both Israel and Iran made direct attacks in a more meaningful way on their energy, on each other's energy sources. It started with Israel striking that Iranian oil field, oil and natural gas, the largest one in Iran, one of the largest in the world. And in response to that, Iran promised they were going to hit several targets throughout the Middle East in the Gulf states overnight. As you can see by this video here, that is exactly what they did. Iran hitting major oil hubs in Qatar, in Saudi Arabia, in Kuwait. In some cases, Nick, 20% of the world's supply of liquid natural gas comes from Qatar. In some cases, much of it coming from the specific refinery that Iran hit. So this is obviously going to have a major impact on the global supply. We're already seeing that. In part, that's why President Trump almost immediately responded by condemning Iran and telling Iran that if that continues, they will face consequences. But at the same time, the president also distanced himself from Israel, saying that the U.S. did not essentially give its blessing to Israel for that strike on the Iranian oil field. President Trump saying he didn't know about it. Now, there's a lot of reporting to the contrary that the administration did know that was going to happen. But still today, his posture is very clear, does not condone it, says Israel will not do that again. The Iranians are not heeding that warning, by the way. We just got a statement not so long ago from the Iranian foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, and it is a defiant one. He says here, quote, our response to Israel's attack on our infrastructure employed fraction of our power. The only reason for restraint was respect for requested de-escalation. Zero restraint if our infrastructures are struck again. Any end to this war must address damage to our civilian sites. So there is obviously a lot of pain, a lot of economic ripple effects that, again, already are running through the global markets, and you're feeling it. It's not just in Asia or Europe or in the Middle East, but it's in North America, in the United States as well. People are starting to feel the difference now as the price of oil is squeezed and continues to go up, Nick.
Joe, earlier we heard the Secretary of War talk about how Iran's military had been depleted, their air, their ground, and their sea troops. Yet Iran does not seem to be backing down. Do people feel still nervous about the situation?
Well, I can tell you where we are in Dubai. Every single night, we still get these alerts on our phones about drone attacks and missile attacks coming from Iran. That has not stopped. Just last night, there was a smaller amount, but still about a dozen or a little bit more than that drones that were intercepted in the skies here over the UAE, over Dubai, and several missiles as well. So while Iran may be degraded, I don't think there's any protests there from anybody. I think that is factually, you can see that. They're not entirely diminished in their capacity to launch missiles, to launch drones. They continue to do it. You're seeing evidence of it on your screen right now. And so, you know, if the U.S. wants to continue to do that, that's at least what Secretary Hegseth said today, that this is going to be an even more enhanced day when it comes to strikes on Iran. We'll see how that develops.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.